The next step, it's the feedback that I give most often for funnel creators and funnel owners, that you have to take your audience by the hand and let them know that next action you want them to take, and to eventually get them to become a client or a customer by really grabbing their attention and leading them along the way. So in the funnel that I'll go through today, she does a really great job of using a lead magnet, but also selling that next step to get you right into her paid program and get you to becoming a customer right away. So I'm going to break down each step of the process. So stay tuned as I break down a funnel by Coach Christie Miller today. And if you're brand new to my channel, every single week I'm breaking down a sales funnel, showing you the best practices, what's working well, where could there be improvements, so that you can build your own automated funnel, scale your business, and work less by making even more. I'm a direct response copywriter and a funnel specialist, so stay tuned for even more. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so you get notified every time content comes out from me. I'm not the only one that has packed on some pandemic pounds, but I definitely am not as heavy as I used to be. Go back 5 years ago, I was really struggling with kind of sitting in the corporate environment, going and sitting in a cubicle every day, especially after playing college football, being active, super active during high school, during college. It was really easy to, maintain my weight, or, even despite what I was eating, to kind of constantly lose weight all the time, just because I was burning so many calories that were going on. But post-college, it was a lot harder to do that, and got to the point where my health kind of deteriorated pretty quickly. Was going through a lot of sleep problems, was diagnosed with sleep apnea, had a ton of insomnia. Every time I ate, I just felt completely ill after every meal that I ate. Felt lethargic, didn't have any energy. It was one of those that, for me, got to the point where, especially when we were going to have our daughter, our first daughter, I knew a lot of those health problems, especially when my daughter came along, were only going to escalate and get much worse. And I got to kind of the point where I just couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't sleeping. It didn't have any energy. I was kind of like a zombie every single day. So I eventually did a lot of research. I kind of got going again in terms of exercise, and took a look at what I was eating at every single meal, and kind of was able to change it around. And I was able to get to the point where I lost 40 pounds. And I have a consistent diet now where I can kind of maintain that weight. I certainly have put on some pounds during the quarantine, but it hasn't been, nearly as bad as what it would have been if I went back to my past diet. So, if I think about my life as kind of like, think back to that point, it's kind of the before and after picture, where right now I'm kind of living a very healthy diet, keeping that consistent exercise that's going on. And it keeps me with a lot of energy. It keeps me going. I feel better and better every day, despite having two kids that try and crush my sleep as much as possible. That try and make eating healthy a difficult thing. I have those habits in place, and it makes it really easy to maintain my health and make it even better as I kind of have those habits over time. So that's one of the reasons that I kind of picked this funnel that we're going to focus on today with Coach Christie Miller. She kind of has a similar story of, kind of that before and after picture where, she had a bunch of health problems of her own. She actually had a family member that died for, not taking care, very preventable, could have looked at his health a little bit better. And it was really kind of a wake-up call for her. So that kind of really stuck out for me as kind of her story, and kind of going through that as I came across that, but also some of the best practices I talked about in the beginning, kind of the ability to kind of sell that next step. She's a coach for coaches, so she's really focused on kind of those health coaches, and she's a former health coach herself. So she's, kind of been in the trenches. She's helped people lose weight and kind of improve their health over time. And now she's really focused on helping health coaches kind of build their universe, get their marketing out in the right way, kind of build that know, like, and trust factor with them. So we're going to run through her funnel in terms of going out to health coaches and using Facebook to get the word out about their business, get in front of the right audience, and moving forward. So let's jump into her funnel here. Again, another funnel just like last week, really starting with Facebook ads. really cheap and easy way to get in front of your right audience. In upcoming weeks, I'll focus on a few other funnels that aren't starting with Facebook ads, just so you have some variety. But for right now, last week and this week really stuck out. Kind of Facebook ads were a great starting point for that, and I'll mix it up as we go along. So let's jump into by first looking at her traffic source. Again, those Facebook ads. Let's take a look at her Facebook ads and see what they look like. And I'll go through what's really working well and where some improvements can be made, and we'll kind of walk through each step of the process in terms of actually becoming a client or customer of hers along the way. So let's start with her Facebook ads. Here's a variety of different variations that she's running right now, all with really the same Facebook ad copy. So we'll really focus on that, and I'll kind of go through that in detail. The thing that I would start with, the first thing with Facebook ads is really those first few lines is really the key. So if you ever heard of the 80-20 principle, it really comes into impact here with Facebook ads. If you're not catching your audience's attention with those first few lines and getting them to click that see more button, then you've kind of lost, you've kind of lost the battle. You're not going to see the conversions that you're looking for if those first few lines aren't engaging enough for your audience to participate. So think about those micro commitments. Again, the first thing you want them to do is those first few lines, catch their attention, stop that scroll. If you have a photo in there, that's another great way to stop the scroll as well. But how can you kind of use the combination of that photo or video that you're using along with those first couple of lines to catch their attention, stop them from scrolling, and get them taking the actions that you want them to take. So you can see on the left-hand side in terms of what the language that she's using in those first few lines. So my best friend is the only person liking these posts. So really getting into kind of the head of her audience and kind of talking about how some of these coaches are going out there on Facebook. They're putting out posts that they're putting a lot of work into. They're doing the research, and they're just getting crickets in response. And I think probably everybody's been there, regardless of where you are right now. And if you're getting clients from social media, I've certainly been there where I put out a bunch of posts and just have gotten zero response. I've put in tons of hours and days in certain instances in putting together posts, and for whatever reason, you just don't get the engagement that you're looking for. So this is kind of gets into kind of the thoughts in people's heads, especially as maybe they're just starting out, or especially going through this pandemic. People are more reliant on online marketing, and they're trying to make their Facebook profile and every post that they get out there in terms of getting clients, but they're just really not sure how. So this really kind of speaks to that, and again, kind of sparks their interest enough. They kind of hit that see more button that you can see here. Maybe I'll just do it here in the middle. And it kind of gets into a little bit more of her personal story and, talking to, again, empathy is a big component of creating good ads and kind of talking about the story. So she's kind of gone through this herself. She's been in putting out motivational quotes, putting in all that effort and just getting nothing in response. So again, showing, really telling the story of how she's been in her audience's shoes before and saying, I've been in your shoes without actually having to say it is a powerful way to do that in the form of story. A great way to do it in terms of Facebook ads. So a great example here of how you could do it as well. Kind of sharing some personal details, kind of really getting into the head of your audience and figuring out those moments where you can kind of share that connection, where you can say, I've been through what you're going through right now. Then she kind of goes through what's that transformation. And I think, here's where she could add a little bit more detail, like what really changed, like what got her to the point where she was ready to start a Facebook group and got to the point where she was, getting some of those members. Like, was it something that she learned from somebody else? Was it just trial and error? Kind of continue that story a little bit. Just like any other audience, your audience is kind of going through as well. Like they're trying out solutions and eventually they get to the point where, something starts working. So, including that in the story would be helpful. And talking about the results here, like getting 150 new clients, like being very specific, makes it very tangible for your audience. It shows that she's not just making this up, and she's one of those coach for coaches that is talking about something that hasn't really occurred in their own presence. So really getting into that, and then developing some curiosity in terms of going to her Facebook group Magic guides. So she's not really giving a lot away in terms of like what's in that guide. She's kind of leading with those results and getting into it a little bit. So again, she could make it a little bit longer in terms of the Facebook ad copy, qualify it a little bit more, get people a little bit more curious about it by inserting a few more things about what's included in that guide, like what's a little bit more about her process. Like if she has a 3 or 4 step process, how can she kind of go through and kind of tease some of that stuff to get a little bit more people clicking the link. But again, that's I think a very good Facebook ad as it is right now. I'm just kind of picking and choosing things that can make it a little bit better. So this is our Facebook ads, and we're going to go through the next step and kind of clicking through the link and actually seeing how her process really works in terms of selling that next step and showing you what the guide looks like and how you can do something similar for your business on an automated basis. Before moving on in terms of the Facebook ads is kind of looking at the pictures or creatives that go along with the ad. A lot of times you want to make sure that those ads kind of really fit in naturally to that person's newsfeed, so it doesn't really look like an ad as much as possible. So you can see on the right-hand side that this picture kind of looks very natural, like somebody would put a post up there and it kind of would fall very easily into the newsfeed, whereas some of the other ones, like this one in the middle, where including some text in that picture makes it very clear that this is probably an ad and makes it more likely that your audience is kind of going to skip over that as much as possible. The other thing to think about is anytime you include text in the image, if it's too much text, Facebook is going to hold back the amount of people that it's going to show that ad to. So just be careful in terms of anytime you put text in terms of the picture, that it's not too much, because if you get to beyond the kind of the specific limit that Facebook has, it's not going to show your ad to as many people just because of that. So if you're thinking about kind of, in your thinking about including pictures or videos that are in there, make sure that picture that you put in there obviously has bright colors, something that's really going to stand out so that people stop their scroll. But think about how you can make your ad as natural and as part of just kind of an everyday post that's in there as part of their news feed. So you're starting with that story and leading with those first couple lines that really is going to catch their attention. But how does that photo look really natural so it doesn't look like an ad for people? And for this one in particular, the other one that I would really recommend that Christie kind of look at is including a video version for her ad. She's really great on video. It's kind of a key highlight of what she's trying to sell on Facebook is video. So it's another great opportunity if she can kind of put out a very short video that kind of talks about her program and her results. Just another way that people can kind of stop the scroll, get to know her a little bit better, start to build that relationship. But it's almost like having 2 ads in one, in that video, somebody could watch that video and be motivated to click on, or they could read that ad copy and be motivated to move on, or a combination of both. But again, using video or just testing out using some video can be a great opportunity to kind of start building that relationship so people get to know you a little bit better and kind of build up that authority, especially in this case where there is a high degree of skepticism over Facebook working for certain businesses, just because a lot of these health coaches have used Facebook before and it hasn't really worked for them. So, start building that relationship early on in the ad if you can, if you're comfortable with video, and kind of test that out as much as possible. So let's move on to kind of that next link. So this is kind of where you'd be sent to in that, if you clicked on the ad. Again, her lead magnet is called Facebook Group Magic, kind of the 10 strategies. So again, if you click on this button right here, it'll be a pop-up that asks for your name and your email address. The one, suggestion that I would have for her is, give a little bit more, information. So anytime somebody clicks on that link, they want a little bit more information before they're ready to, give their information away. Like, what are they going to get out of this? And again, Facebook being one of those highly, one of those things that a lot of these coaches have tried before and failed. Like, what is going to be different about this guide? Can you include a few other bullet points, maybe below this button, that get me a little bit more motivated to click through and give my information across? So it's a great way to kind of increase, the amount of people that get that conversion coming through. And as you kind of scroll further down, she really already has these bullet points in here. She can kind of shorten them up a little bit, but if she can shorten them up a little bit, kind of bring that up and put that along the button, that's a great way to get people motivated. And think about any time that somebody has to kind of scroll down, that's something that maybe they are likely to do or aren't likely to do. So just make it really easy for people. Like within this page, without scrolling, do I have all the information that I need to be motivated to kind of take that next step and move forward? But as you kind of move further down, again, if they're not quite ready to hit that button, she has a lot of the great information here to further build some curiosity, some credibility around what she's trying to do. She introduces herself a little bit more and talking a little bit more about their pain points and some of the results that she's been able to achieve. So that's all great stuff in terms of building up the credibility and doing it that way. And again, if she used a video on her ad, this would be another great opportunity to kind of put maybe a video at the top to further motivate people to click through and give away their information and going from there. So again, this is kind of what it looks like when you hit that pop-up, regardless, putting in your first name and your email address, but always helpful. Just make it as easy as possible for people to have that motivation and know exactly what they're going to get before they put that in. That's going to increase your results and your conversions as you go through to there. So let's go into the next stage of the conversation. I'll show you what it looks like after you hit that download now. Okay, so let's jump over to the next page. So we get to the point where we've downloaded the guide, we've given away our information. Gets to the point here where it's kind of the thank you page. So again, in every thank you page, what you should do is not give away your guide right away. Don't give a download link right on the page or give it away right on this page. Here's a great opportunity to start selling that next step. So you've gotten somebody that is really interested in building their business on Facebook, getting more clients. Like, what are the other paid options that you could potentially get them in? What are those congruent offers that you can put in front of them so that they can become a client or customer of yours over and above that lead magnet? So again, anytime you have a lead magnet, make sure that you just point them to reading their email, looking in their spam folder, whatever it is, so that they get the link there and not putting it straight to this page, because this page should really be focused on, within this video, Christie does a great job of saying, thanks for downloading the guide. But now let's kind of get into what else would you potentially get some clients from Facebook. And this is where she starts selling her paid program on Facebook Live videos, and does a great job of giving away the information, talking a little bit about her story, and kind of really getting into how they could, become a client of hers, pay some fee to get into her program and build upon what they're going to learn in her guide. So they've kind of learned within her guide about Facebook groups, but there's other ways on Facebook to get clients, and Facebook Lives are a great way to do that. And she talks about having that success in her own business and talking about a little bit more in her video. Does a great job of it. And by using video, really creating that relationship, you really get to know her expertise, a little bit more about her story, and why Facebook Lives along with Facebook groups can be kind of that 1-2 punch that you need to get the clients that you're looking for along the way. So again, great opportunity to kind of sell that next step, and Christie does a great job of doing that within the video here. So again, start from the top there, just by really pointing out that your Facebook guide, and she does it here, the Facebook guide or whatever you have from a lead magnet perspective is going to go to their email box. You should check their spam folder, make sure it's not there. Pull that out and whitelist it as much as possible. But the reason that you'd go straight to that email is you want to develop that habit of, over the next few days, I'm going to send you a bunch of emails. So you want them to kind of find that email, make sure it's not on the spam folder. So they kind of open that email right away. They kind of digest your guide, and that's really what you're hoping for. But even if they don't, they kind of get in the habit of seeing your name, building that relationship. And in the following days, when you send further emails, they know to open it. That's something of value, and you can kind of build that relationship over time. That's a great way of doing it. So again, this is kind of the setup, and that's what I would use as well. And in that video, so again, assume anything you put on the page, if somebody doesn't really want to go through video. Maybe they're sitting at the office right now, or not in a great environment, and they don't have headphones or whatever. Assume that they don't watch this video. That's where you kind of provide a lot of the same information below that. So Christie does a great job of doing that. If somebody watches the video and they need a little bit more information, it's here. Or assuming that they didn't watch the video at all, let's give them all the information that they need to know on that Facebook Live bootcamp. Like, what is it all about? So she talks through kind of her process, and I think this is really good, talking about kind of almost like a 3-step process or a 3-step tutorial that she really goes through and gives a unique name to it. So talking about setting the stage, planning to profit, and connecting to convert. So really 3 to 4 word unique names that she really puts on that specific process that she's going through in her boot camp. Really makes it kind of unique and distinctive, and kind of separates her from all the other coaches that are out there kind of selling how you can get clients from Facebook along the way. So that's really a great way of selling kind of your unique selling proposition, kind of really digging into your process, putting unique names to each of the steps, and talking about how each step can kind of get them the results that they're looking for along the way. Again, going through FAQs along the way, providing some proof. So here she's got a good number of proof items from her Facebook groups, people talking about going through the program and seeing some results. I would say, in this, I would love to see like video testimonials from her actual, coaches. So actually seeing and hearing from your clients and seeing the exact words and phrases and hearing them talk about the results is a great way for your end audience to really answer that question. Can you help them in their unique situation? So I want to see and hear from your past happy clients and see their enthusiasm, their tone of voice, see what words they're using. So put in some video testimonials, ask people to talk about their story on your page, and that really brings it to life. So not everybody's going to want to read through each of these, but if I can see and hear an actual person talking about the results from your program, that's going to make it a little bit more impactful. So as much as possible, try and get those video testimonials as part of your page, along with some of these screenshots that work really well as well. The other thing is she kind of goes through that 7-step formula. So again, a 7-step formula is kind of one of those things that seems like a lot of work for people. So as much as possible, anytime you're talking about your process from a marketing perspective, try to keep it to 3 or 4 steps. Try and keep it a little bit more broader if you have to. If you're getting more specific and getting to an 8 or 10 or 15-step process, it just seems like a lot of work. And for a lot of people, again, on Facebook, where there's a high degree of skepticism, it seems like a little bit too much. Again, if you can keep it to a 3 or 4-step process and going through the formula, that's a great way to kind of sell yourself on what you're doing here. One other thing that I really want to point out is kind of talking about her bonuses. So in her bonuses, she really uses some of those objections or hesitations that people might have around Facebook or doing Facebook Lives, and really answering them in her bonuses and really addressing them specifically. So anytime you'd go through a Facebook Live, you'd think like, oh, I don't want to do that because I don't know what technology to use. Do I have to get a certain camera or lights or anything like that? She's really attacking that right here in her bonus, giving you everything that you need to know about what technology to use, things like that. Second thing, looking at kind of the training. So using a green screen, like what is that background? What if I have a messy house behind me and that's the reason why I don't want to do videos? Here's another great way. She kind of addresses that objection right up front. Using a teleprompter, again, should you use it? Should you not? Again, might be not a huge objection or hesitation, but for those people that don't exactly know what to say and want to be a little bit more scripted, that can be really relevant. And then talking about how to actually implement her strategy. So actually going out there and getting people on video, doing that 90-day challenge, building that community around it as part of her bonuses as well. And then being able to kind of repurpose that along the way. And I think she talks about on this page as well as like, within those Facebook Lives, like one of the key objections is like, what do I actually say to actually get clients? And she kind of addresses that very specifically within her program, talking about like, I'll give you the formulas and the frameworks to know exactly what to say so that you're not just putting out Facebook Lives and either not getting a response or you're not getting the clients that they're looking for. So really does a great job of kind of going through, really understanding her audience, knowing what objections or hesitations they might have in terms of signing up for this program, and really using those bonuses and kind of pulling out. And again, they might have been part of her broader program over time, but by pulling them out, you get them a little bit further down on the page, and you get to the point where, okay, people are really interested, but they might have a few questions or hesitations, and you can really hit them with those specific bonuses that hit any specific one that they might have. It might not be all 6 bonuses that are relevant for them. It might be one single one that gets them over that line to actually purchasing there. So really important part of going through there. Again, building up the value as well, kind of talking about framing that, the cost of it as well. So it's only $47, but what is the true value of that, and how can you kind of put that in the broader sense of things? So that's a great way of using bonuses to kind of drive up the value of this program and kind of really show what they're going to get out of it as well. So that's kind of the page right here. Again, she kind of gets into a little bit more about some of the questions. So again, frequently asked questions that you might have. Again, kind of just kind of knocking down anything that would kind of, especially at this point of the page, like what is anything that might be holding them back from getting in there and doing it that way. And I think she does a great job of using some urgency as well. So she does have a countdown clock there that kind of takes away some of these, takes away this, and you would have to join a wait list if you don't, join in time. So I thought that was really helpful as well. That her urgency is, she does follow through with that. Sometimes people put urgency, a countdown clock, and still allow people to enroll right away. This is kind of just to prove once that countdown clock, it kind of ran out for me, and this is kind of what shows you. So you actually don't have the opportunity to access it. You join a wait list there. So I guess actually really following through is important. Being true to what's on the page is a good way to do it. And once they join that wait list, obviously you can give them an opportunity down the line. But again, creating habits with your audience in terms of like creating that urgency, really following through, and making it clear that you have specific deadlines that you have to take action by. And if you don't take action by that date, then you're going to have to delay your enrollment in our program and delay some of the results that are out there. One thing to kind of go back to the page here, I think that she does really well is, if you went to this page and just watched this video here and just clicked the yes, I want access and didn't really see all the information below that, it takes it to a more comprehensive page here where she actually does a more complete webinar in the video right here, really lays out a lot of the information that was on the previous page. She really wants to make sure that it's the right fit, the right program for you, that you're kind of qualified, you have all the information that you need to kind of sign up. And by using this kind of perfect webinar format that she used, she kind of goes through, again, some of her story, laying out some of the credibility, what actually is included in the her live video tutorial, and really gives the information along the way. So again, kind of by splitting up the page in terms of that previous page, if you went all the way to the bottom and clicked, I want access, it goes straight to that checkout page. But if you only watched that short video at the top and didn't get the full picture of what the program included, you would go to this more complete page where you get everything, you get all the information that you really need to know within this more, this longer webinar. And then as you scroll down, again, kind of a summary of what the program includes, some, really the value around some of the bonuses in the program, but also showing some proof along the way. So she's kind of covering all her bases, regardless of what you do in terms of watching the video or either going through that entire page, making sure that people have all the information that they need to be confident in going into this program, that they actually go through and, take her program, implement it, and see their business grow. If they're not doing that, if they just sign up for the program, they don't actually feel motivated, and they don't have enough information to actually go through the program to build up their business, then they're most likely not going to move on to the next steps that she wants them to take, which might be a group program, and what might be one-on-one coaching along the way. So as much as possible, you want people to be ready, motivated, and have all the information that they need to not only sign up, but to kind of take the steps that they need to actually go through your program, see some results from that, and then you can kind of sell them on the next steps as well. So I think she does a really great job of doing that, showing that her program has gotten those results and can do that along the way. So the last step is kind of looking at the automated email sequence that she put together, seeing what best practices are really in there. Again, in my mind, like, email is a great way to kind of build that relationship. It's one of the most important parts of that, to kind of selling the next step and going through that on a daily basis, getting in front of these Facebook leads that she might have, and getting them into the specific offers that might be relevant to them. Building that maybe a relationship via email as well. A lot of coaches try to get people on a kind of a discovery call, but thinking about, again, those micro commitments of, can I get somebody to reply to my email, start that conversation there? They're more likely to be motivated to get on a phone call with me and eventually become a client. If they've seen my emails every single day, they know what my programs entail, they know my story, they've seen the success stories along the way as well. So let's take a look at those emails as the final last step. What we're going to look at is her email, automated email that she sends out for those people that do opt in for her lead magnet. What is she putting in there? What does it look like? Again, email is a great opportunity to continue that relationship with those people that opt in for your Facebook ads, sell any additional offers, put in front of them several offers that are congruent to that lead magnet. Within your lead magnet as well, are you selling that next step? Are you pushing them to how you can potentially work with them and get them the results that they're looking for? So we'll take a look at that. And also making sure that they actually read your lead magnet or go through your mini course or whatever you do have. Because if they're not taking action and not seeing results from your lead magnet or whatever you're giving them, they're more than likely not going to build that trust that you're really looking for them to do. Like, in that lead magnet, for that free value that you're giving away, you want them to get some value out of that, see their business or whatever they have move forward. So you develop that trust with them, so they're more likely to come back, they recognize your name, and they're more likely to take that next step that you're looking for. So you want to, as much as possible, for them to actually click on that lead magnet and go through it. Suffice to say that looking at the stats, most people won't look at your lead magnet. That's not to say that it's not a good one, but you have to kind of be prepared for the fact that people will opt in for a lead magnet or whatever you do have, and they might not digest it. So let's just assume that, and let's get them going further on the journey of learning more about you, what are those next steps, and how you can help them, but still deliver some value within your emails along the way in terms of, maybe pulling out some of those different strategies that you might have with a lead magnet to get them the results that they're looking for as much as possible. So they kind of have that complete picture. So even if they did go through that lead magnet and see those strategies, seeing some additional reminders or to add some further detail to what you mentioned in the lead magnet is a great way of doing that. And I also, within the emails, as much as possible, encouraging them to respond to your emails. Starting that conversation with an email is one of those great ways to get them building that trust. You can learn more about what their situation is right now, learn about whatever objections or hesitations they might have to potentially hiring you, and really develop some relationship there and deliver some value along in those emails. So as much as possible, asking some questions, getting them to respond, increasing that engagement as much as possible is important. So let's start with the first email here. So again, within her email, gives away kind of the link to it. So let's take a look at her lead magnet here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing and give it away. So again, go to her website, and this is a great resource if you're looking to get clients from Facebook in terms of building up your group. She has some great strategies to do that. So opt in for a lead magnet and go through it. The one thing I do want to mention is she does a great job of, anytime in a lead magnet, you really want to introduce yourself, kind of build up that credibility. Why should people listen to you? She does a great way of doing that. She's built up her own Facebook group, gotten clients from it, gotten results. So it's clear in her ad, but also clear within the lead magnet why you should listen to her and why she go through this lead magnet, because she's seen success on her own for groups, and she has a unique strategy to go through that. The other thing in addition to kind of introducing yourself is how can you make it interactive? How can you get somebody responding to a specific question within your lead magnet, or giving some kind of information so that you can kind of, again, continue that conversation as much as possible. So within your lead magnet, try and give them some kind of action step where they have to either email you or fill out a form where you can kind of continue that conversation with them as much as possible. It's one of those things that I didn't see within Christie's lead magnet, but she does push you to kind of her Facebook group where she can have a lot more of that engagement with you as well. So let's just go to the bottom in terms of kind of selling that next step. And here's where she does a great job. So she kind of links the strategy that she talked about within her lead magnet with kind of one of her other paid offers. So this is one where you can kind of join her wait list for Client Creator Playbook, and again, go through and kind of implement the strategies that she talks about in terms of getting new clients and showing that. So again, within her lead magnet, she's giving you strategies in terms of building up your business, but giving you further paid offers that you can kind of become a customer or client of hers, and giving you that information along the way. So really important to kind of do that in those last couple pages to kind of, very specifically take them by the hand and say, what is that next step that you want them to take? So going back to the initial email, again, gives a little bit more about her situation, why you should listen to her and actually click on that guide, and kind of a reminder of what you opted in for and why it's relevant to you. And then, finally getting to the bottom, they're pushing you to kind of join that Facebook group, again, to kind of continue that conversation as much as possible. Again, one of the things that I would put in here is, some kind of question, some kind of engagement that says, like, why should I respond to this email? How can I continue that conversation, even if I don't click on that lead magnet, even if I don't click on the Facebook group? How can I have some conversation with you? And then at the bottom in the PS, especially in this first email, it's a great way to let people know how else they could potentially work with you. What other offers do you potentially have out there, especially around congruent to Facebook groups or Facebook Lives. In the PS, this would be a great opportunity as well, just because she's pitching it. Put in that offer and that link to the Facebook Live training that she does have within the PS. So always, especially in these first couple emails, think about anytime somebody opts in, it's probably the height of their motivation to start taking action. So you want to put offers in front of them to potentially become clients and take the action that you're looking for. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I think one of the other things she does really well is, including some emails that, talk about her story in a little bit more detail. So here she kind of includes her story around, not only her career journey, but also kind of her health journey and why she got into that. A little bit more specific details about her, again, allows you to kind of build that know, like, and trust factor within that. So, talking about your story and kind of disclosing that's really important. And then she, again, has a specific email around, pointing you towards that Facebook Live program, providing some proof here of a kind of a successful past client that's been able to doing that. So really important as you go along. So again, in that email sequence, making sure that in that email sequence, and for her, it's probably selling that Facebook Live group, but giving everybody that information that they need. So assume that they didn't go through the full sales page. So each of your email sequence should give them the information they're looking for in terms of testimonials, some frequently asked questions, knocking down some maybe false beliefs in terms of maybe they don't have the right technology or they don't know exactly what to say. So kind of going through some of those objections or hesitations that she really focuses on some of her bonuses. So creating specific emails around that so that as people go through and read your emails, by the end of that 5 or 7 email sequence, daily one that goes out, they have all the information that they need. So by the end of that, they're either going to sign up for your program or it's not relevant or right for their situation, and that's completely fine. And that's why you can move on either to another offer that might be relevant to them, or, kind of just close off the automation and, send them directly to your, campaign, your regular broadcast email list as well. But again, in your email sequence, it should always have kind of selling the next step for that. She does that really well within the email sequence, but going through that and kind of including everything that might be on a sales page for that, really breaking it down into specific emails so that people have all the information that they need. Again, encouraging them to respond to your emails if they have additional questions or hesitations or objections, and that allows you to kind of collect more information about who's on your list, but also to address that in your marketing a little bit more upfront as well. So if you like this video and kind of this funnel breakdown, be sure to hit that like button. Within the comments below, let me know what you kind of saw from a funnel perspective as you go through that funnel of Coach Christie Miller. What really stood out to you? What did you like the most? Where would you make some further improvements as well? Some of the ones that I talked about, or maybe some of the ones that I missed as well. Let me know in the comments. And I'll be back next week kind of breaking down a sales funnel. Next week, I'll kind of start with one that is a little bit more focused and starting with kind of more of an advertorial and kind of a different way of doing it versus Facebook ads. So I'll kind of break that down in terms of where are we getting traffic in terms of, kind of a very, sales focused type copy, starting from, a different traffic source and showing you how that kind of breaks down over time within the health space, and how that kind of manifests itself in terms of not only the sales pages, but also the email campaigns that come out of that. If you have any suggestions, again, in the comments about sales funnels that you'd like to see me break down, it could be one of your own or one that you've seen as well. Happy to go through that. So feel free to drop me a note. And with that, have a great one.